I hope everyone is having a fabulous weekend. I guess some people can have fabulous weekends as the United States is going down a whole shithole. So let's talk about 45-47. Uh, Going to war with Iraq. If any of you come over to my channel, you already heard that it was expected that 45-47, hey Nappy Child, would be striking Iran by the weekend. So here is 45-47 at sometime around 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, saying that the United States, along with Israel, of course, have struck Iran. Now, I want you to really pay attention to. There is no plausible reasons. There are no facts stated about investigations into anything. He is not telling you why the United States is striking um, Iran. He said it's a preemptive strike. A preemptive means that you're going to get them before they get you. You see that they have for instance, you see that someone is has a knife out and is advancing towards you. So before they can harm you, you're going to do a preemptive strike, and you're going to pull out a piece, and you're going to mow them down with your piece. That's preemptive. What's oh, what are we trying to preempt? Did he even try to tell you why we needed to make a preemptive strike on Iran? Well, I've already told you. I told you prior to him making that first strike on Iran in June, after Benjamin Netanyahu struck Iran. And then the United States did what Netanyahu told them to do, was to strike Iran. But, you know, um, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were over there trying to negotiate, I thought that Steve Witkoff and the special envoy who is doing all these negotiations for peace in the Middle East, peace with Russia and Ukraine, a whole failure. And Jared Kushner, who is only going into these talks to make sure that he can enrich himself after whichever country that they are choosing to topple has toppled, that he can go in and make billions off of these countries that are toppled. So I thought that these two people were these special envoys, these unelected people who have no title in American government other than being special envoys. Steve Witkoff, who is some real estate billionaire who was friends with 45-47, and of course Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of 45-47, who famously, I told you even before the election, famously said that Palestine would be great waterfront property. And now who is creating this waterfront property build out for tech billionaires? Who's in the driver's seat? None other than Jared Kushner. So let's be real clear on that. This week I also told you about how our ambassador to Israel, Mike I Love Jesus Huckabee, came when he was asked a question by Tucker Carlson. I'll play it for you because I forget the question. But he made a statement, and Tucker Carlson, who I am not a fan of, but they've been going back and forth about this Israel. Mike Huckabee, that feels like something about Israel is a part of Samaria, some shit that he's talking about, and they own all the Palestinian land, and God gave them that land, and blah 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 blue blue blue. So he says something to effect that he and he says something to the effect that Israel had the right to the Palestinian land because of something. I can't remember. So Tucker Carlson says, well, if you feel that way, wouldn't that mean that Israel has the right to all of the Middle East? And our ambassador to Israel said, I don't have a problem with that. So he said it out loud that he has no problem with Israel conquering the whole Middle East. So I want you to understand all of this stuff is important, because let's listen to 45, 47, and let's see if you hear a good reason. Hey, foot soldier. Hey, heavy bear. Let's see if you hear a good reason why our now why our blood and treasure is being just spent on the whim of Netanyahu. Netanyahu has told the UN Council, who has told everywhere he could speak for the past 33 years, who has said that Iran was on the verge of creating a nuclear weapon. I played you a montage. If you don't come over to this channel, I played you a montage of 33 years of Benjamin Netanyahu saying that how close the Iranians were to a nuclear weapon. But I thought in June, when America struck Iran on Israel command, that your president came out here and told you that they had obliterated the nuclear program in Iran. Your president was the one in his first term who pulled out of the deal and tore up the deal where inspectors were going into Iran to inspect their facilities that they said that they were using their nuclear facilities for energy. Your president, who is stealing oil from Venezuela and selling it to India and whoever else he can sell it to, and putting it in a private bank account that he only has access and control over. Your administration told you something real vague, like Marco Rubio was the one who said, well, right now the president is the one who has control of the money that they are getting from the oil in Venezuela. You know that oil in Venezuela, they didn't tell you that they were going to Venezuela for the oil. They told you that they were conquering Venezuela behind some fentanyl and drugs coming to the country. Okay. So here is your administration. Here is this same administration is over here telling you. He said this out of his own mouth. Benjamin Netanyahu, from my understanding, wanted the United States to strike first. But 45, 47, while they're telling you on the outside that they're negotiating for peace, 45, 47 came out and said that no, he wanted Israel to strike first, and then when American soldiers were injured, there would be a build-up of support from the American people for this war. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? A 5-time draft dodger had the audacity to say, just go ahead and strike them. And when they start killing American military, we're going to get support from the American people. And we have not even gone to Congress to authorize what Congress must authorize, because it's not me who's calling it a war. Your president has told you that he has gone to war with Iran. To go to war, you have to have congressional approval. Congress have not been sought. There has been no vote on this, but your president told you that we are at war. So, is this not an illegal war that we are in? Would this not be an illegal war? That a draft dodger just so easily said that once the American once the American soldiers start getting hurt, that it will garner support from the American people. Let's get into this. I'll let you hear for yourself. Let me shut up. Let me shut up.
Military began major combat operations in Iran.
Hold on. I have it on double time. Let me slow it down. Here we go.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very
Okay, they've been chanting death to America. Can you give us the examples when they have followed through with any of this? You're talking about what people are chanting. You, when you were on your campaign trail, said that you would start no new wars. So should we be talking about the chantings of MAGA, make America god awful again? Should we be talking about the chantings that went on from you? Let's continue.
first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died.
They knew improbably. What does probably means? That means that I don't have any facts to back up what I'm saying, but I'm saying it. And if facts come out to prove that what I'm saying is wrong, I will say, "Oh, I didn't say they were. I said they probably were." Let's continue.
Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed.
Well, how were they able to do that to the Marines that were stationed in Iraq? Exactly how? What gave them access to do that to the service members in Iraq? What gave them access to them was the illegal war that we went into with Iraq. See, if we hadn't done what you're doing right now, at least the George W. Bush administration uh, uh, got the drummed up support for this war and had the war approved by Congress before they went into a war with a country that who told them had nuclear weapons? Who Netanyahu said that. Who had weapons of mass destruction? Who said that? Netanyahu. So that's how they got access to our soldiers in the first place. Let's continue.
In the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before.
Hold on. So, in response to this October 7th attack, where over 1,000 people, which is a horrible attack, where over 1,000 people lost their lives, what was the response? And how many people in Gaza were ethnically cleansed so that Jared Kushner can have his waterfront property to have billionaires build some tech utopia for billionaires? How many Palestinians lost their lives? And how many of the ones that are remaining are still being targeted after your Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner had this peace summit and had a peace agreement that neither the Israeli or the Hamas have signed, and they have been getting strikes in Gaza every day from then to now. How many? How many children were used as target practice? How many different days was the practice to shoot the children in different body parts as they came to get aid? You know, the aid that you would not let regular aid workers disperse. You know, the aid that you decided that the United States and Israel were going to be the one who disperse aid, the little aid that you had trickling in after Israel put a blockade on aid for, I think it was over 2 or 3 months, where the people were starving in Gaza. You know, that aid where they play a game like, okay, we're doing testicle shots today. Okay, we're doing belly shots today. Okay, we're doing head shots today on children trying to go to the aid site to eat. Oh, but we don't want to talk about any of this shit. This is who. This is who's talking to you.
Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United
Okay. It is estimated that Iran did kill 30,000 protesters. But who was telling them to go out and protest now? Who said that you were going to save the protesters? The drumbeat for this war started with 45-47, guaranteeing the Iranian people that if they were harmed during their protests, that the United States was going to come in there and save them. This was the initial claim of why the United States government, who is brutalizing their own protesters in the street. But he told the Iranian people that if you go out and protest and they unalive you because you're protesting, we are going to come and we're going to strike your government, as 30,000 Iranian protesters died. But at the same time, ICE agents are brutalizing American citizens and killing American citizens in our own streets. Make that make sense. See, because all of this rhetoric and all of this bullshit, all of this hyperbole, this is a bunch of bullshit that you're hearing. If you don't watch listen, for-profit media is not going to give you the ins and outs of any of this. You have to look to try to understand what this government is all about. And, you know, let's continue.
States, in particular, the sponsor of terror, and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran
Okay, so we're gonna get another thing straight here. You already had a deal with Iran, and your first presidency, you tore up the deal and tried to make us believe that they were still creating weapons of mass destruction and nuclear weapons based on the word of whom? Based on the word of whom? Who after who visited you? You tore up the Iranian deal where they actually had inspectors going in and approving that they were not doing the thing that Netanyahu said that they had been doing for 33 years. Okay, so let's be real clear on why there is no inspector, that why there are no inspectors going in to see what Iran is doing, because it's easier for this administration to lie on you and show you absolutely no proof of what they're saying. You're just supposed to believe a 34-time convicted felon. You're just supposed to believe anything this administration says when they have been caught in bold-faced lies ever since they were in office prior to this time. Let's keep it a buck.
Refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore.
Okay, so this drill baby drill, he said that they don't need nuclear power to power their country. No, they don't need. So do the states that use nuclear power to power states in the United States, do they need their nuclear power? And who are you to say what type of power a country has to use? I understand that you have fucked the United States up with this drill baby drill and shutting down all clean energy, shutting down all of the clean energy acts that Biden had put in place, that now thousands of people have lost their job. I understand that you are on this war path to get oil. So what is now? I'm going to let you hear what the Iranian official has said about these agreements and these talks. The Iranian official said about these talks that they had offered Witkoff and Jared Kushner way more than they had even had to do under the Obama agreement when inspectors were coming in, and they were supposed to meet again Monday, this Monday. They were supposed to meet to again to tie up loose ends, so this representative thought. But it has also been reported that Netanyahu and 4547 already had this date to strike Iran weeks ago. And they are sitting up here letting you believe that they are in negotiations. Now, he cannot tell you all of this vagueness about they didn't understand what was going on. They said this and they said that. They weren't clear what was going on. No, you're not clear on what story you want to put out, that they did something so egregious that you are now striking their country. See, he has no absolutely has no reason that he is uh able to give you. He's being real vague. Shouldn't we have specifics in this little part of this speech? Shouldn't there be specifics? But no, there's a bunch of vagueness. Let's go back.
Interviews, just as it has been, they just wanted to practice evil. At Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordo.
If you did that, then what the fuck were you doing today? If you obliterated their nuclear program, what the fuck are we doing today? And when you came out and said and wanted to walk around like a crow, like a proud ass rooster, and you didn't even have any inspections done. But you came out and told the American people that their treasure that they use on the demand of your master Benjamin Netanyahu had obliterated their nuclear program, and that was June of 2025. And here we are in February of 2026 talking about we are going to stop their nuclear program. But I thought we already did, according to you. Let's continue.
Natanz and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused.
They just wanted to practice evil. So what he just told you there is that we have no proof no evidence that they had restarted their uh, nuclear ambitions. We have no proof. They did. They wanted to do. Okay, we got heard what he said.
Just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good.
Okay, now he said it. Okay, who told you that, and where's the evidence of them reconstituting their nuclear weapons program? What inspectors went in when and found this? See, this is the most important part. Because you can say anything, you can accuse people of anything. But I thought that you had to have evidence of some things, especially to send your country to war and say that American servicemen are going to lose their lives out in the public when you're making this ass backward announcement. But you said it so with cavalierness when you were talking to Netanyahu about no, you strike first, and when they start hitting our troops, the American people they'll support us because our troops have been injured from a whole motherfucking draft dodger, 5-time draft dodger. Oh, but what he thinks about the American troops. He thinks that some American troops are losers. So I guess he wants to, I guess he wants to thin the herd of the American military of its losers because he feels like if you are captured or shot down, you're a loser. Isn't that what he said about John McCain? I feel if you're captured, you're not a hero. You're a loser. So I guess he's trying to thin the herd of our American military. Let's continue.
Good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is
Okay, so in this speech at 2 o'clock in the morning, what is his war about? So beyond what I'm talking about, what is the reasoning he's giving you? The reasoning he's giving you is that Iran will not be able to have nuclear weapons on his watch. This is the reasoning. It's all about nuclear weapons. Are we clear? Is everyone in the chat? I'm gonna switch over to the chat. Hey, Detach, are we clear that he is saying that we are going to war and he is okay with our military people losing their lives on some premise that has not been proven, that Iran has reconstituted their enrichment to create nuclear weapons? Are we clear on that? That is about the nuclear weapons that he refuses to let Iran get. This is at 2 o'clock in the morning. So why is it at 11 o'clock in the morning? It's about regime change. Why all of a sudden, less than 24 hours later, it's about regime change in Iran? Okay, let's continue. Let's continue.
the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay. This link, I'm gonna drop it in my description box if you want to peruse it. If you want to review it, it will be in the description box. So let's move forward. Let's see what Iran has to say. Let me see about their negotiation. This is in the description box under announcement of war. All of my links that I play are always in my description box. I hope you go over there and check out some of the reporting and some of the channels that I share with you because I try to give you a lot of independent media where you will hear some facts that you do not hear anywhere else. Let's see what TYT is saying.
We're at war. Israel and America have attacked Iran. The war has begun. It's Friday night here in Los Angeles, early morning in New York, and around 2 in the morning. And in Iran, obviously, it's later in the day. People were expecting the strikes around now, but a little bit earlier because you would have expected that it would have come more during nighttime. So it's a little bit later than people expected, but people did expect that it might be today. The bombs have landed near where Ayatollah Ali Khamenei normally lives, that neighborhood that he lives in. Clouds of smoke there. And it appears to be a joint operation. Israel's minister, Israel Katz, he is their defense minister, has declared a state of emergency in Israel. Well, I guess when you start a war, you should be in a state of emergency.
Hold on. Let me make sure. No, this isn't the one. He's stammering too much. He can't get his words out. That link will be in the description box. I want to move forward from him. That's what you get for trying to cozy up to the right, saying we need to listen to what the right is saying, and we need to understand them. And that's why TYT is fucking in ruins right now because you fucked up. You played yourself. Let's see. Where do I want to go? Why not the Midas touch?
Oh my God.
What you just saw right there was Iran's retaliatory missile strikes against Bahrain, and specifically ballistic missile strikes.
Now, Iran is striking a whole lot of motherfuckers in response to this. So, your president expects you to believe that this is just going to be a little a couple of days outing, as he is calling it a war and trying to make it seem like, oh, we'll be in and out of this quick. How long was this quick war with Afghanistan, Iraq, and Afghanistan? We were in these places for over 20 years and got absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. How much money was spent on those wars? As the jobs in the United States, there have been under 100, I believe it's under 100,000 jobs were created in the United States in the whole 2025. When your president did an interview and bragged about that he had cut more jobs than any other president in history, as the dollar is losing its value, as other countries are no longer even buying U.S. bonds, the U.S. bonds that other countries would invest in when the dollar was low, because they always assumed that the dollar would be rising again, so they would not lose their money when all of our allies are now making trade deals with other countries, while this idiot is isolating the United States of America and have no fucking jobs to give you, giving tax cut to billionaires, fucking uh, hundreds of thousands of people. Hundreds, no, not hundreds of thousands, tens of millions of people are about to lose their health care. And under the big, beautiful bill, they set up the loss of Medicaid to go into effect after the midterm elections, so that you won't see the fucking damage that this big, beautiful bill has done to people not having access to health care, as this they spend all of this blood and treasure to do whatever Israel tells the United States to do. Do you know how much money it takes to put all of those ships over there off the coast of Iran? Do you know how much money that they are spending? The military has $1 trillion budget, but they tell you they cannot afford to give you universal health care. But we're following the demands of Benjamin Netanyahu. And why the fuck are we following the commands of Benjamin Netanyahu when the United States is the one who gives Israel billions of dollars of fucking aid? At Israel, we're giving them aid. All of their people have universal health care, and our people are getting cut off of universal health care to give tax cut to billionaires, and we're following whatever Benjamin Netanyahu tells us to do. So that's why I entitled my video what I entitled my video. Because are we clear that has been reported that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent? Are we going to pretend like we don't believe that there is some evidence of some very can we not believe that that our president is compromised by Mossad, and whatever he can do to save his skin, we are on the hook for him trying to save his skin because he is a man of low character? Can we all admit the fucking facts now? Can we admit the facts? Can we admit the fact that these Republicans, senators who set up and tried to throw a red herring out with Bill and Hillary Clinton being deposed, and they all showed up? But not one of these senators, not one senator showed up in Ohio for Lex Wexner's deposition. Not one of your senators who are allegedly trying to do oversight on these Epstein files that the Department of Justice have only given 1% out. Not one senator showed up to his deposition in Ohio, and he was named a co-conspirator in the whole Epstein thing. Bill Clinton has not been named a co-conspirator. Your Department of Justice actually redacted the names of the co-conspirators until a Republican senator, Massey. He was the only senator who went to Ohio. I said not one. Tom Massey, the one who put forth the bill with Ro Khanna to get the Epstein files unredacted and put out. And 1% of the Epstein files have been put out. 1%. So let me tell you something. A person who has there is no repercussion for the things they do. Do you think, what is it off him to send other people's children off to war so people can stop talking about these motherfucking Epstein files? What is it off of the man who sat side by side with Zelensky and somebody asked Zelensky, when is Ukraine going to have elections? And Zelensky said, we're in the middle of a war. We can't have election. And your president said, oh, you can't have elections while you're at war? Well, I may have to use that someday. And now your president is trying to do anything and everything to disenfranchise voters, try to make up fake laws for reasons why the voters are going to be disenfranchised while they're not going to allow mail-in vote. He has a 17-page document that they are trying to work into a executive order as what is it? It's not unclassified, unstudied reasons why 4547 can federalize the elections, and unstudied reason why the 2020 election was tampered with. So if these reasons, we're supposed to take the word from 4547, that there are reasons that have not been examined, that the 2020 election was compromised. So therefore, he must protect these midterm elections. Well, if these reasons have been unexamined, surely these reasons have not been examined by a court. But he wants to tell you that there are all of these reasons why you should believe that the 2020 election was tampered with. So therefore, what he's doing and trying to take over elections from the states who have the rights to the elections, what he's doing is to try to give election some type of election integrity. So these reasons you haven't taken to a court, but you're just going to make an executive order. Well, how come you haven't taken these reasons to court? There were over 60 cases about the 2020 election that this administration took to court and lost. But now all of a sudden, this reasoning that has been unexamined, he's going to tell you that he's trying to save elections. If he's trying to save, okay, let's get back into the war. I went
strikes directed against the U.S. Fifth Fleet Naval Support Activity Installation in Bahrain. Iran retaliated against every nation essentially in the Middle East, other than
Iran has struck. Now they're being very vague about the installations of the United States that have been struck over there. They have shot at installations in that the U.S. have in the Middle East. Also, understand that the what is it? There are several European countries that said that the United States military will not be able to use their installation to do any strikes on Iran because they know that what they are doing is illegal. Plain and simple. What they're doing is illegal.
Oman following the United States and Israel launching a joint military retaliatory missile strikes against Bahrain, and specifically ballistic missile strikes directed against the U.S. Fifth Fleet Naval Support Activity Installation in Bahrain. Iran retaliated against every nation essentially in the Middle East other than Oman following the United States and Israel launching a joint military operation and attack against Iran late last night. The United States is calling its military strikes with Israel against Iran Operation Epic Fury. At the Midas Touch Network, we are calling it Operation Epstein Fury, or the Jeffrey Epstein War. There is now a full-fledged war taking place.
And this is where I got my title from. Is this Epic Fury, or is this just Epstein Fury? Is this just a reason to get you talking about anything about why your president name showed up over 1 million times in the Epstein files? And if you're not aware to the newest information, the whole ability to go into the Epstein file and look up things and bring up stuff has been eliminated. So if you want to find from your Department of Justice the catalog that you could go in, put a name in, and it will give you all of the pages and context and not content where to find certain people, the Department of Justice has gone through and eliminated that. So you're just going to have to go through page by page. Why did they do that? Because having that up there allowed them to give you the information this past week that there was an accuser of your president who said when she was 13 years old, she was brought to his fucking brought to his knees or feet or whatever, and presented to him to give him oral copulation. These are the reports that are in the Epstein file. And she said that she bit him and he punched her in the face. And there were substance. There were other documents that also followed her being talked to by the by the FBI over 4 times, and all of those documents were missing, and someone was able to trace through the catalog where these documents should have appeared, but mysteriously when they went to where the documents should have been, they were not in there. So in response to the fact that media outlet told you that over 50 something pages about this particular incident have just gone missing from the Epstein file based upon the catalog of where the follow-up information about this woman's complaint, she's a woman now, have been taken out of the Epstein file. They have deleted the whole ability for you to happen to come up on something and then go to where you should find the next corroborating piece of evidence or a piece of testimony and find out that it's missing. They have taken away the ability since this has been reported about the 50 something pages of this 13-year-old accuser being found out that this is what the Department of Justice have taken away those pages about a 13-year-old girl presented to perform oral copulation. I don't know why I'm on this. Do you think do you think that this is actually what is it called? Epic Fury, or is this about Epstein Fury? They want to call this something about this strike on Iran Epic Fury. What does it cost 45, 47? It costs him absolutely nothing. What are the repercussions that are coming to all the illegal things that even ignoring a judge's order? What has happened to this person? Who has filed any complaints? Even the Democrats are sitting on their hand talking about waiting until the midterm. Wait until the midterms. It ain't gonna be no fucking midterms. Anyway, let's continue.
Between the United States and Israel against Iran. All hell is breaking loose in the Middle East. Iran responded against the military strikes by the U.S. and Israel against Tehran by shooting ballistic missiles into Israel, also by shooting ballistic missiles into the UAE and specifically at Abu Dhabi and Dubai, by shooting ballistic missiles at Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. We also saw ballistic missiles and cruise missiles coming from either Israel or the United States, trailing over Iraq into Iran. This was being referred to by Israel as decapitation or assassination strikes. You had Israel focusing on taking out top Iranian military and political leadership, while the U.S. was attacking military infrastructure. On the other hand, you had Iran attacking some of the neighboring Middle East countries, but specifically focusing on where there were United States military assets. Also in Yemen, the Houthis over there said that they would be utilizing their capabilities, or what remains of their capabilities, in order to once again attack the cargo ships in the region, specifically the ships that are traversing the Strait of Hormuz. You see right.
Okay. Y'all remember the Strait of Hormuz? It's awful thin. So, people are kind of like sitting ducks when they go through the Strait of Hormuz. The Houthis. Who remember the Houthis? Who remember the Houthis? That's when Pete Kegbreath was on a unsecured app telling JD Vance, a whole lot of people in the 45, 47 administration, the time that they were going to be striking the Houthis. Why were they striking the Houthis? Did the Houthis do anything to America? No, the Houthis were jamming up ships that were coming through the Strait of Hormuz, and they were stopping cargo ships from going through the Strait of Hormuz. Why? Because these cargo ships had a lot of cargo on it that was going to Israel. Why? Because the Houthis were against what was going on in Gaza. So therefore, you got your military was out there striking the Houthis ship for Israel. And you got a motherfucker unqualified person sitting at the top of the Defense Department is broadcasting this shit over a unsecured app. Why is this important about the Houthis and them striking these shits? Because while you got a motherfucker unqualified dunce sitting up telling you what time our United States planes are going to be striking over in Yemen, these Houthis have anti-aircraft weaponry that could shoot down planes. That's why it's important. Because if and we do know the wrong person did get a wind of it, because one of those numbnuts, one of those unqualified Trump administrators actually connected this chat to a reporter, the reporter of the editor of the Atlantic. And that's how the story came out. And your unqualified Department of Defense secretary tried to act like it was no big deal. And when it was investigated, it was found to have been a big deal, that he had released classified information. And when that dummy found out that he had released classified information, he first tried to attack the reporter who didn't ask to be on, who they are so stupid that they connected a reporter to the chain. You had the whole fucking stupid vice president in there cheering this on. Nobody knew that this shit was fucking reckless and dangerous and could have cost the lives of our military personnel. And after they brought Kegbreath in to a Senate hearing, I forget, I think it was Venman, asked if Keg Breath was willing to apologize to the mother of one of those pilots who was on that mission, where he gave up the time of that mission and could have put her son in jeopardy. He said, will you apologize to the mother of that pilot? She wants an apology because you put her son's life in danger. And he said he would not, he refused to apologize. He said that her son, I would tell her that her son did a fantastic job and this, that, and the other. No, nigga, you fucked up. You fucked up. Okay. Anyway, that's what the Strait of Hormuz is. So the Houthis are getting ready to gear back up. And why did they stop striking over there? Your president told you. Well, the Houthis told us that they're done and they're not going to do any more. They're not going to attack any more ships. So we, as far as we're concerned, we had warships over there to strike at the Houthis on the behest of Israel. We had warships over there. And they said that the Houthis said that they're not going to do anything else. So did they say was there the peace agreement that he made with the Houthis or some shit? Now the Houthis are about to start striking again. This shit is just unreal. This shit is unreal. And they are putting the lives of our military in danger behind these idiots who appear to me are compromised behind their fucking inability to control their disgusting sexual urges, in my opinion.
Here an image, the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman. You see the Strait of Hormuz right there, which is right by Iran. This is one of the main shipping routes out of the Persian Gulf. And so if the Strait of Hormuz is shut down, that would also be disastrous in terms of our economy and economies throughout the world. So let's give you some of the latest information. Hat tip to the open source intelligence defenders. They do a good job at least aggregating some of this news. We could show you some of the images of what it looked like as well in Iran and in the surrounding areas as I go through what went down. So here's what we know. A joint U.S.-Israeli operation was launched last night. Trump is now calling for regime change. This is not about stopping Iran from enriching uranium. By all accounts, the Oman foreign minister said that Iran was basically in the mediated discussions agreeable to no longer enriching uranium and agreeable to oversight. But Donald Trump has made it very clear. He gave he posted on his social media platform a video I'll be speaking of this morning as well, saying that this is about regime change. This is about changing the leadership in Iran. Really nothing to do with about uranium enrichment anymore. It's changing the entire structure of Iran. And Donald Trump and Israel are calling for the Iranian people to revolt, to get out on the streets and topple the Ayatollah. The opening waves of these strikes have been characterized as assassination strikes, confirming early reports of decapitation strikes. According to Israel, they've had success in hitting numerous top military leadership of Iran. There are reports, though, that they were not able, at least as of right now, to hit the Ayatollah and the president of Iran. Officials from both the U.S. and Israel say that this is going to be a multi-day military campaign. As I mentioned earlier, Israel is focusing on military targets, and the U.S. is
a multi-day military campaign. They're telling you that this will be over in days. Okay.
Is helping as well with some of the bunkers. There have been lots of ballistic missiles being fired at this time. We have images right here. Israel, said, look, we engaged in this quote unquote preemptive strike. And then when Iran then hit, then launched ballistic missiles into Israel, Israel says we've got to defend ourselves. We have a right to defend ourselves. Iran has launched strikes on U.S. bases across the Middle East. Explosions are seen in the U.S. naval.
So Israel started this shit. And then when they get what they hand call for, they are saying we have the right to defend ourselves. Wasn't they saying that when they were killing tens and thousands of people in Palestine because Palestine did an actual terrorist attack that killed over 1,000 people in Israel when Israel was bulldozing down all of Palestine and sending drones to unalive women and children. Isn't that we have the right to defend ourselves when tens of thousands of children alone lost their lives because Israel had the right to defend themselves? Let's continue.
Base in Al Jafar, Bahrain. That's what you saw at the beginning of this video. Alarm sirens followed and multiple explosions in Kuwait, in Abu Dhabi, and in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. The UAE said it has the right to respond militarily if it wants to. Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, hit as well. They said they have the right to respond against Iran, that their sovereignty has been violated. In Qatar, an official source at the Ministry of Defense told Al Jazeera that an Iranian missile was intercepted by their Patriot defense system. There's still lots of attacks going on there as well. Throughout all of this, Donald, like last night, as America was at war, I mean, we're 100% at war now with Iran. Like, let's be clear about what this is. Donald Trump, though, was posting messages about his 2020 election conspiracies after the United States was at war. This is how, demented this guy is. He posted photos of Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, and Donald Trump goes, as Georgia prosecutor pursued Trump, Biden DOJ invited her to get lucrative grants, memo shows. Like, that's what he was doing last night. He was making lots of posts like that. Also, Donald Trump made a video of himself wearing a baseball cap, or a cap that said USA on it. He was sweaty and grotesque looking, and he was giving this speech that he just posted on Truth Social, his failing social media company. And he goes, the lives of American heroes may be lost and we may have casualties, but that's what happens in war. That was his message. Like, not really discussing with American people why we're doing regime change, what the costs are going to be, like not trying to sell this war to us or let us know why, with all of the problems we're facing in the United States, we're going to war with Iran for regime change, because didn't they always say it was about enriched uranium? So now it's total mask off. It's about regime change. But here Donald Trump says, look, yeah, our soldiers may die, but that's what war is. So whatever. Here, watch what he says. Here, play this clip.
Seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost and we may have casualties. That often happens in war, but we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran.
And then, as Donald Trump says, this is about regime change. He tells the people of Iran, look, this is what you wanted me to do. I'm doing it.
Well, it is what it is. War is hell, guys. Get in there and go fight for this bullshit that I am telling you. Go fight for this bullshit. Go fight for your country, you noble man, because I would never do the same. We need to purge our military of losers. If you get killed, if you get captured, you're much like what I said John McCain was, a loser.
For you, so go out and basically revolt and take back your country. Prove to me that this is what you wanted me to do for you. Here it is. Play this clip.
For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Now, do you remember that Donald Trump, when he would always attack former President Obama, he would always say, look, the U.S., he goes, Obama's going to be he's so weak and he can't negotiate and he's got all these problems and he's going to get America into a war with Iran. Remember when Donald Trump did that, just the ridiculousness of this whole MAGA farce, this whole phony, pathetic movement that's like, oh, we're not for wars. We're not for never ending wars. And now you're literally out there bragging about we want regime change in Iran while America, we don't even have healthcare in America, while people can't afford rent. And this is where our taxpayer dollars are going to anyway. Here, play this clip of Donald Trump from back in the day. Let's play it.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective.
Or what about when Stephen Miller would say things like this during the campaign? To anyone still gullible enough to fall for scummy media hoaxes, Trump said warmongering neocons love sending your kids to die for wars they would never fight themselves. Liz Cheney is Kamala's top advisor. Liz wants to invade the whole Middle East. Kamala equals World War III. Trump equals peace. Oh, how about that?
How about that? How about that? When Trump's Middle East Israeli ambassador said that it would be okay if Israel took over the whole Middle East. How about that? How is that dating? How is that wearing on reality? How is reality treating these comments? How have these comments aged? Have these comments aged well? Or are you in denial that you were lied to? They told you anything to get in power. And as you sit up and ignore how they are abusing the power of the presidency. How is that going to age for you? Is America great again yet? Go out and go grocery shopping and see how those promises have aged as well. Let's continue.
That here was what the foreign minister of Oman, Badr al-Busadi, told Face the Nation yesterday morning to early afternoon about the progress that he thought was being made in negotiations between Iran and the United States. And what was expected to happen was that negotiations were going to resume on Monday. The mediator between the U.S. and Iran, this Omani foreign minister, Badr al-Busadi, believed that he had made basically a deal where Iran was going to agree not to enrich uranium and have independent oversight. They needed to work out technical details on Monday. Watch what he says. But then the United States said, actually, it's not about the uranium. We want regime change. That's what we want. I'm just showing you the facts. Here, play this clip.
So the enriched material, the things that could be used as nuclear fuel for a bomb, you're saying Iran would not keep on their own soil?
They would give it up.
They would give it up?
They will not be able to actually accumulate that material that will enable them to create a bomb. There's no accumulation. So there will be zero accumulation, zero stockpiling, and full verification. That is also equally important achievement, I think.
Now, this is who was negotiating with Witkoff and Jared Kushner.
A full and comprehensive verification by the IAEA, which is the agency in charge of this file.
The UN nuclear watchdog.
That's
so you're saying all enriched material.
The IAEA, you haven't heard of them in a while because these are the watchdogs groups that go in to ensure that Iran is not doing anything that they are not supposed to be doing as in their nuclear programs. You know, the people who were going in and checking out what Iran was doing when they had an agreement signed, sealed, and delivered with President Obama and the rest of the UAE, I believe. The UN, I'm sorry, not the UAE, the UN. These people were the watchdogs to make sure. So he's telling you that they want to allow them back in to solidify that they're doing what they say they are going to do. But some people can't take yes for an answer because they were just blowing smoke up your asses to make it appear as if they were looking for a solution. They weren't looking for a solution. They were looking for a reason.
Would be shipped someplace else, not Russia, but
no. The current stockpiles that still exist,
the things that are still in Iran.
I think that there is agreement now that this will be downblended to the lowest level possible, to neutral level, a natural level, which means and converted into fuel, and that fuel will be irreversible.
The stockpiles that still exist. How now? Shouldn't that give you pause? Because your president said that they had obliterated their whole nuclear program. So how is it that any stockpiles that exist? And he wouldn't take that lie back, and he wouldn't let up off of it when it was obvious that he didn't even know what damage was done. But here we are again. Here we are again, right back where we started from. And he's telling you that people are going to lose their lives this time.
And then yesterday, when Donald Trump was in Corpus Christi, Texas, he was asked, do you have a message for Iran? This is before the strikes took place and the war took place. Here's what Donald Trump said. Let's play this clip.
Amazing.
You have a message for Iran.
Well, they should make a deal, but they don't want to quite go far enough, and it's too bad. Look, we've been playing with them for 47 years, and that's a long time. They've been blowing the legs off our people, blowing the face off our people, the arms. They've been knocking out ships one by one. But every month there's something else. So you can't put up with it too long. We're not happy with the negotiation. They just don't want to. They don't want to say the key words. We're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They have to say we're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and they just can't quite get there. They want to enrich a little bit. You don't have to enrich when you have that much oil. So I'm not happy with the negotiation.
You don't have to enrich when you have that much what? That much oil. Do you think that since your president has gotten a taste of invading countries and toppling their leaders and taking the oil and selling it and putting the cash in an account that only he has access and control over, that he's told you that they're going to figure out later who all has control of this account in Qatar, that only your president has control over? What do you think he's going to do with the oil in Iran if he gets an opportunity to actually steal the oil from the Iranian people? He told you that the Venezuelan oil sales were going to go to help the Venezuelan people. How can the oil sales from Venezuela help the Venezuelan people when it's sitting in a offshore bank account that he only has access to? I'm curious. You know, at what point does this have to be too vulgar for the American people to stand? I'm very curious. Anyway, this link is in my description box. Please go over there and visit the Midas Touch. Now, we're gonna talk about one more thing. Let me share this with you.
The United States and Israel are waging a war of aggression against Iran.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
On the 28th of February, the U.S. and Israel launched a surprise attack on Iran. This came at a time when the U.S. claimed that supposedly it was participating in peace talks with Iran, but Washington violated those peace talks and launched what it called preemptive strikes, which is blatantly illegal according to international law. This is an imperialist war of aggression, and it must be emphasized that this has nothing to do with nuclear weapons. Donald Trump gave a speech in which he admitted that the goal of the U.S. is to overthrow the Iranian government and put in power a puppet regime like the CIA did when it carried out a coup d'etat in 1953 against Iran's democratically elected leader. Today, the U.S. empire is once again trying to overthrow an independent government. In his speech, Trump threatened members of the Iranian military and said they must put down their weapons, and if they don't, the U.S. empire will eliminate them.
To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death.
And then Trump openly called for the people of Iran to overthrow their government. Again, this is not about non-existent nuclear weapons. This is about regime change and imperialism.
Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force.
But Washington also underestimates the ability of Iran to respond and defend itself. And immediately after the U.S. launched this war of aggression, Iran started attacking U.S. military bases in the region. The U.S. has surrounded Iran with more than 40,000 troops in dozens of military bases and installations. And these are all targets that Iran can and will hit. So immediately in response to this U.S.-Israeli war of aggression, Iran bombed the Al Udeid air base that the U.S. has in Qatar. This is the largest U.S. military base in the region. And Iran also hit U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and the UAE. And this is just in a few hours after the initial U.S.-Israeli attack. So the arrogance of politicians in Washington can actually end up being their Achilles heel, because Donald Trump came to the wrong lesson after invading Venezuela on the 3rd of January and kidnapping Venezuela's internationally recognized constitutional president, Nicolas Maduro. But Venezuela is much smaller and much weaker than Iran. Venezuela has a population of less than 30 million people, whereas Iran has more than 93 million people. Iran is significantly larger than Iraq, which the U.S. invaded in another war of aggression in 2003. And let's not forget that the U.S. lost the war in Iraq. This is why Trump warned in the speech that he gave after he started this war that U.S. troops may lose their lives fighting this imperialist war of aggression.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble.
And we give zero fucks about it. He actually don't even sound like he cares about it. He's just like, hey, just go throw yourself on that rat trap, rat, because it has to happen. But he has given you no good reason why any of this is happening.
Mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu published a message on Twitter calling to overthrow the Iranian government. I should remind people that Netanyahu is currently wanted, as we speak, by the International Criminal Court for the crimes against humanity he committed against the Palestinian people in Gaza with the full support of the U.S. empire. And now Netanyahu and Trump are waging another imperial war of aggression. And Netanyahu admitted that this is about regime change. He said, quote, "Our joint operation will create the conditions for the brave Iranian people to take their fate into their own hands, to cast off the yoke of tyranny and bring freedom and peace-loving values to Iran," end quote. So this is the same old colonial rhetoric we heard from the European empires who said they had to civilize the barbaric native populations, indigenous peoples of the lands they colonized in order to exploit their natural resources, to rob them of their natural wealth. And the Western colonialists claimed that they were spreading civilization. It was part of the white man's burden. This is the same rhetoric we hear today from the colonialists in Tel Aviv and Washington. And it must be emphasized, this is not just about Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. A lot of people are focusing on the internal politics in the U.S. and Israel. You know, the U.S. has a midterm election coming up in 2026. Netanyahu has faced charges of corruption that are very well documented. And certainly Trump and Netanyahu want to increase support domestically, and they want to be remembered in history as the leaders who overthrew the revolutionary Iranian government. But this goes back much longer. This is not just about the individual leaders today in the U.S. and Israel. The U.S. empire has been trying to overthrow the Iranian government for decades. Immediately after 9/11, after the attacks on September 11th, 2001, the former top U.S. military general Wesley Clark, who was a commander of NATO, he revealed that the Pentagon made plans to overthrow 7 governments in West Asia and North Africa. Those governments were Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. And the U.S. succeeded in overthrowing the governments in 6 of those 7 countries. The only remaining country is Iran. Listen here to this very revealing admission by a former top U.S. military general. And keep in mind, he said this 2 decades ago, before anyone ever thought in a million years that Donald Trump would become president.
Right after 9/11, about 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in and talk to me a second." He said, "I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
So again, it must be emphasized that this U.S.-Israeli war of aggression against Iran has nothing to do with nuclear weapons. Iran does not have nuclear weapons and has not tried to get nuclear weapons. If Iran had nuclear weapons, the U.S. and Israel would not be attacking it right now. This is why the US has never attacked North Korea, because North Korea does actually have nuclear weapons. What's actually happening here is that the Trump administration is just regurgitating the same lies that the George W. Bush administration used to try to justify its illegal imperialist war of aggression against Iraq in 2003, when the CIA falsely claimed that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, and the US corporate media obediently regurgitated these lies on behalf of the CIA. If Iraq actually had nuclear weapons, the US would not have invaded. The same situation is true in Iran today.
Okay, so this link is in my description box. Avail yourself to it. It is under the title of Announcement of War. All of these clips that I've shown you are under the title of Announcement of War. So I just wanted to let you understand that I understand. I see what's going on. So we got the midterm elections coming up. We have all this talk about this Epstein, and now we are at war for no explainable reason, where your president says that some military people are going to lose their lives.
The steady drumbeat of questions around Donald Trump's relationship with the deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is only getting louder today, as a former American president is being deposed under oath, because the former president can be made to testify. Why not the president who appears tens of thousands of times in the Epstein files? At this moment, the House Oversight Committee is sitting down with former President Bill Clinton. Here's what we know about any ties between Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. Flight logs show that President Clinton took 4 flights on Jeffrey Epstein's plane between 2002 and 2003. Former President Clinton has appeared in photos with Jeffrey Epstein. Clinton's name appears in the birthday book compiled for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th, with a note allegedly from Bill Clinton. The former president has not been accused of any wrongdoing related to Jeffrey Epstein. And in his testimony today, Clinton says he stopped associating with him long before Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to prostitution charges in Florida in the year 2008. The former president posted his opening statement to the committee on X. He called the committee out for bringing in his wife, Hillary Clinton. That statement reads in part, quote, "Before we start, I have to get personal. You made Hillary come in. She had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, nothing. She has no memory of even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. Whether you subpoenaed 10 people or 10,000, including her, was simply not right." Democrats on the House Oversight Committee say that former President Bill Clinton should testify, but so should anyone with any information about Jeffrey Epstein. Here's ranking member of the committee, Congressman Robert Garcia.
We have real questions that deserve serious answers from former President Clinton. And we have said from day one that Democrats want to talk to anyone, whether they are a Republican or a Democrat, no matter how powerful they are, whatever position that they've been in. If anyone has information about Jeffrey Epstein and certainly the horror that he inflicted on so many women and children, we want to hear from them. Republicans have now set a new precedent, which is to bring in presidents and former presidents to testify. So we're once again going to make that call that we did yesterday. We are now asking and demanding that President Trump officially come in and testify in front of the Oversight Committee. He appears in the Epstein files next to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell almost more than anybody else.
No one is more uncomfortable with Bill Clinton testifying than Donald Trump. Here's what he had to say about it this morning.
Are you concerned at all about President Bill Clinton being deposed and that sets precedent for you and your family?
I don't like seeing him deposed, but, they certainly went after me a lot more than that. I don't like him. Look, I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
He said that just a few hours before Democratic Congressman Maxwell Frost revealed that Clinton undercut one of the claims Donald Trump has been making about Jeffrey Epstein. Frost tweeted this, quote, "President Clinton brought up a conversation he had with Donald Trump in New York City regarding Epstein. President Clinton said that Trump told him that he had a falling out with Epstein due to a land dispute. This directly refutes Donald Trump's claims about why he fell out with Epstein." In a tweet, the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee say this, quote, "President Clinton confirmed that he knew Trump and Epstein had a close relationship and said Trump reported having, quote, great times with Epstein." Clinton's deposition is also adding to the questions about whether Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, should also testify. This photo appears to show Howard Lutnick with Jeffrey Epstein on Epstein's Island, along with a friend of Lutnick's, Michael Lerman.
You would be interested to learn that this picture has disappeared from being pulled up in the Epstein files. Lutnick, who said that he was disgusted with him when he first met him, and then you find out 12 years later, him, his wife, his children visited him on the island. But it was only 1 hour. Was this one leisurely? And I had my wife, my children, and my nanny, and it was just for lunch for 1 hour. I don't see lunch. I mean, 1 hour. I mean, it seems like if you only had 1 hour of, you wouldn't be sitting around all casually looking out at the water and this, that, and the other. Yes, he should be subpoenaed.
This photo was removed from the files by the Justice Department at some point and then restored last night. We cannot say definitively when this photo was taken.
Oh, they've restored it. The last I heard, it was removed from the files. Now they had to restore it. They restored it after the reporting has come out that it was removed. Now these people are in the actual Department of Justice who actually think that they can take shit out of these Epstein files, and like the internet is not going to do what the internet do, have proof that it was there. Like these people are unfamiliar with how the internet works. The people in the Department of Justice.
But emails show that Lutnick, his wife, and their children, as well as Lerman, visited Jeffrey Epstein in 2012. Lutnick admitted to that visit in a congressional hearing just a few months after he went on a podcast and said, quote, "I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy," end quote. I guess an island isn't a room. We have reached out to...
However, he did not admit that until people told him that they knew that he had visited the island. So it's not like he had a come to Jesus moment on that podcast prior to him having to sit before Congress and answer the question that had been exposed. He was exposed. He didn't voluntarily say, "Oh yeah, now I remember." This is the Commerce Secretary for 4547. Howard, always licking balls, nut shack.
Lutnick's associate, Michael Lerman, and have yet to hear back with any comment from him. A former president's deposition underscoring the need for those in Trump world to also come clean about any ties to deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is where we start today. Ben Wider is here. He's an investigative reporter for the Miami Herald. We've been reading and talking about his coverage this week for the last couple of days. We're happy he's here. Also joining us, former acting assistant attorney general for national security at the Justice Department, Mary McCord, is here. Our friend Danny Bensky, a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's, will join us at the table in a few minutes. Mary McCord, I start with you. Your thoughts about just how thorough the...
Okay, this is in my description box under Epstein. Let me share something else with you. While we are supposed to be taking our eye off the ball, why 4547 will actually go to war, in my belief, so you can stop talking about Epstein, so you can take your ball off of him trying to steal the midterm elections, and what he's willing to do instead. What he is actually willing to do. I want you to take a look at this. What is going on? This is Drop Site News. Hold on. Who remember that speedboat attack that happened near Cuba? And you notice that the U.S. Media has been very vague about that speedboat attack where 4 people lost their lives. Cuba claims it thwarted a terrorist speedboat. Cuba Ministry of the Interior said it thwarted what it described as an armed terrorist infiltration near Cayo Falcones in Villa Clara. In an announcement, Thursday, authorities intercepted a Florida registered speedboat carrying 10 armed men who were reportedly fired on the Cuban personnel and injured their commander. 4 of the speedboat crew were killed, and the remaining 6 members of the party were detained. All of the suspected invaders are Cuban nationalists who were residing in the United States before the attack. The ministry said it seized assault rifles, handguns, Molotov cocktail, body armor, telescopic sights, and camouflage uniform, and separately detained Daniel Hernandez Santos inside of Cuba on accusation he was sent from the United States to receive the group. So there's that. We don't we get all of this vagueness. We didn't know who was shot and what for what reason. You know that the 4547 has put a tough. Marco Rubio is trying to affect some change in Cuba, and they have put a what is it? They have what do they call it? Sanctions, heavier sanctions on Cuba, where Cuba is in a bind for oil. Now, here and now you may find this interesting as well. Here, where is this at? I apologize. U.S. Treasury signals limited authorization for Venezuelan oil resales to Cuba. So they won't allow anyone else to sell oil to Cuba. They put Cuba on some blockade from being able to buy oil. But guess who has some oil to sell Cuba? So you mean to tell me that they are going to steal the oil from Venezuela? They are going to make Cuba buy the oil that they have stolen from Venezuela. Make this make sense. The U.S. Treasury Department said it will consider a license application allowing Venezuelan oil to be resold to Cuba, provided the fuel supports civilians, private businesses, and humanitarian needs rather than the Cuban military or intelligence services. In a updated guidance, Treasury official and foreign assets control said that transaction must comply with Venezuela General License 46A and cannot benefit entities on the State Department's Cuba restricted list. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Now, I also want to tell you about these strikes on Iran that a lot of you probably are unaware of. One of the first strikes was actually at a all-girls school. Did you guys know that? Let me see. Let me find this. Hold on. I also hold on. Now, this is some of the things that Iran was floating when they thought that they were still negotiating with the United States. Iran floats U.S. investment incentives as part of nuclear negotiation. Iran is offering the prospect of major U.S. investments in its oil, gas, mining, and aviation sectors as part of the efforts to secure a deal that would avert U.S. strikes, the Financial Times reported. So I'm going to drop the link to Drop Site Media. You guys can check this out. Iran's nuclear program remains paused, but Rubio claims Iran wants to restart it. So if they want to restart it, means they have not started it. Is that what I'm reading here? Iran's nuclear program has not advanced significantly since the U.S. and Israeli strikes last June, despite White House claims that Tehran is nearing weapon-grade capability, according to a new report in the Wall Street Journal. Experts and diplomats cited in the report that uranium enrichment appears effectively paused, while Rafael Grossi, head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, has said that there is no evidence Iran resumed enrichment after the strike. Abbas Arichi told India Today that there is no military option within Iran's nuclear program, and that Iran is willing to answer questions about the program, but is not willing to suspend issues of nuclear technology entirely. We have accepted not to have nuclear weapons, he said, and Iran is willing to build confidence to ensure its nuclear program will remain peaceful forever. On Thursday, however, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that Iran poses a very grave threat to the United States, and they are not enriching right now, but they are trying to get to the point where they ultimately can be. So this is why we have struck Iran. Let me get to today's. Let me get to today's. I apologize. Hold on. Well, they struck a school, and this has been reported that 40 girls were killed in this first round of strikes in Iran. I thought I saw it here, but obviously I saw it somewhere else. I apologize. Well, there is plenty of news on Drop Site that you may be interested in. I'm going to drop this link in my chat. Please avail yourself to this link and avail yourself to make any comments in the chat. Like, comment, subscribe. If you learned something new here, you can help me reach my goals. My goal is just to give you information that you may not have heard on your for-profit media. A lot of things are always omitted in our for-profit media. Now, let me share something else with you. Because I have talked about the midterm elections. I have talked about how 45, 47 is trying to say that the things that he is doing with the election is to foster election security. But let's see what is really going on with these elections. We understand that the FBI and Tulsi Gabbard have collected all the Georgia election information. We understand that 25 states are suing because Trump is demanding all of our election information from 25 different states. Now, you may not know that 5 more states have been added to the demand from Trump for all of our state election information. And why is that a problem? Because it's against the law.
Elon, there's a few things we know about Elon Musk. Not only is he the richest man,
but since they have all the data about the Georgia elections, how come your for-profit media is not telling you that in all of this data about the Georgia elections, Elon Musk's super PAC sent out what appeared to be a real ballot with checks for certain people already chosen, and that is against the law unless you put on this material that this is a sample ballot and this is sent to you by this, that, and the other PAC. Elon Musk has committed voter fraud in the state of Georgia. Do you think that could be one of the reasons why all of the voting material in Georgia has been confiscated by the federal government? Absolutely. You wonder why they try to make you believe that it is Democrats when it has always been routinely discovered that it is the Republicans who are voting for their dead wives, their dead parents, registering their dogs as humans to vote for Republicans. Did you hear this about how Elon Musk committed voter fraud? If you haven't, here you go.
in the world. He's also still a little boy. He's still the same little boy who grew up in apartheid South Africa. He grew up from that boy in a vile, racist, regressive, oppressive state, watching black people systematically blocked from civil liberties or participation in a liberal democracy. He went from that to a Nazi-saluting white power advocate, to a wildly wealthy individual trying to shift the global political order toward, once again, white supremacy. That's who he is. It's what he's doing. And he's trying to use his dollars, his money, his influence, his power to do so. And he stands to benefit hundreds of billions of dollars if he can secure the power structure of the United States inside of the Republican Party. And he's trying to do it. He's trying to pay for people's votes. And he's been ruled against by Georgia for voter fraud. Another case of voter fraud, except it's not what the Republicans would have you believe. It's not Democrats and immigrants. Well, I guess it is immigrants. This is a case of an immigrant violating the law and conducting himself in voter fraud. Yeah, I guess it is. But let me give you a flavor for what Elon Musk has done this last election cycle, just this last election cycle. Remember the whole thing with the Wisconsin Supreme Court race where he was trying to put his thumb on the scale, paying people to vote, clearly violating the law? Let me remind you with this headline from the New York Times. Elon Musk backtracks on a legally questionable plan to pay voters. Experts had said that his pledge to hand out two $1 million checks to people who had already voted in Wisconsin Supreme Court race seemed to run afoul of state law. That was March of 2025. Here we are, February 20th, 2026. And there's this headline, and I've got a clip to play for you of the Georgia State Elections Board ruling against him. He's not going to be prosecuted for this because apparently we can't hold any rich and powerful people accountable in our country. We are a laughingstock in that way. But what they did do is they sent him a firm letter of reprimand. Oh, that'll stop Elon Musk from doing shit.
A strongly worded letter after they found that he created voter fraud. This is what the election board is doing. They wrote him a strongly worded letter. If every criminal was oh so lucky.
Yeah. Here's a headline from the New Republic before I get to the video clip. Turns out there was voter fraud in Georgia by Elon Musk. The State Board of Elections found Musk's PAC sent pre-filled ballot applications. He sent ballots already filled out for people just to sign their names and fill out their identifying information to send to the Georgia into the election to put his thumb on the scale in this past election. The same thing that Republicans time and time again talk about the evils of, that this is why we can't have mail-in ballots because blah, 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 blah. And then every time the thing that they say happened, when it does happen, it happens from one of them. This is from the article. If Donald Trump's administration really wants to find evidence of foreign interference in Georgia's election, then they need look no further than the president's old friend, Elon Musk, and his shady super PAC. Members of the Georgia State Elections Board voted Wednesday to issue a formal letter of reprimand to Musk's America PAC over the billionaire technocrat's illegal scheme to get Trump elected. Georgia, a key battleground state in 2024, was the target of aggressive campaigning by Trump's team. In October 2024, the Georgia Secretary of State's office launched an investigation after receiving numerous reports from residents across several counties saying they've received partially pre-filled absentee ballot applications from Musk's America PAC. According to John Fervier, I think that's how to say it, the state's election board chairman. Now, this brings into question exactly why, pray tell, please, someone explain to me, what was the justification for Donald Trump bringing his director of national intelligence into a raid by the FBI to steal ballots from the 2020 election? Seems like a lot of chicanery going on in and around the elections in Georgia specifically, mainly because it's the flippiest of the flip states. It's the swingiest of the swing states. There was evidence to suggest America PAC had violated a state law that prohibits any person or entity other than an authorized relative to send an elector an absentee ballot application pre-filled with the elector's required information, according to Janice Johnston, the SEB's vice chairman. America PAC has also failed to display in a conspicuous location that this was not an official government publication, was not provided by the government, and was not a ballot, Johnston added. The board swiftly voted to issue a letter of reprimand to America PAC. This letter comes weeks after Trump suggested that his director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was spotted lurking around a federal raid at the election office in Fulton County, Georgia because she was investigating foreign interference in elections. And that raises a pretty big question. The meeting that was broadcast of them deciding they're going to send their letter of reprimand. Apparently, Susan Collins is also on the Board of Elections in Georgia, expressing her concern. Obviously, that's a joke. But here they are, ruling in this matter, sending out their limp and lifeless letter of reprimand to the world's richest man who doesn't give two shits about their reprimand. Watch this.
Next case on the agenda is SEB 2024-151 multi-county pre-filled AB applications in November 2024.
The Secretary of State's office initiated an investigation on October 7th, 2024, after receiving complaints from several counties alleging that the organization America PAC, a political campaign, sent partially pre-filled absentee ballot applications to register voters in Chattooga, Cherokee, Coweta, Floyd, and Whitfield counties after the passage of a law that had made such activity unlawful.
Mr. Chair, I think that there is evidence to suggest that America PAC is in violation of 21-2-381 when they sent to an elector pre-filled absentee ballot applications in November of 2024, and evidence to suggest that America PAC is in violation of 21-2-381. They failed to display in a conspicuous location the statutory language. This is not an official government publication and was not provided to you by any government entity, and this is not a ballot. Mr. Chair, I would move that we issue, I'd make a motion that we issue a letter of reprimand to America PAC.
We have a motion to issue a letter of reprimand to America PAC. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of issuing a letter of reprimand to America PAC signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, so moved. A letter of reprimand will be sent to America PAC on case SEB 2024-151.
So look, just let this serve as one more piece of evidence in the voluminous numbers of instances where it is Trump supporters and conservatives and Republicans who are committing voter fraud, election interference. It's not immigrants like the Republicans would have you believe. It's conservatives. It's people who know that their days are numbered relative to the influence on this electorate. They know their ideas don't hold weight, don't have sway in the minds of Americans. And the only way that they're going to win, the only way they're going to maintain any power whatsoever is by cheating, is by paying people for their votes, is by trying to trick people into voting their way. That's the only way they have it. Voter suppression and the oppression of people. That's it. And we got our Nazi saluting guy who stands to make hundreds of billions of dollars from government contracts. He's got a motivated reason for this. This isn't ideological.
Okay, that is in my description box. Speaking of making hundreds of billions of dollars, who have heard about the little contest for AI that they are having at the Pentagon? It's supposed to go on. I believe it's all during March. Different AI companies are vying for a position to get a Pentagon contract. Now, if you are aware, Anthropic had a contract with the Pentagon. But is it here? But they are in jeopardy of losing their contract because they refuse to to get rid of some tracking capabilities that Pete Kegbreath said that they, if they want to keep their contract with the Pentagon, they need to allow their AI to be able to, let me see, track people. Let me see if I can find this. Here, let me. I've been meaning to talk about this for quite a long time. Anthropic. It's somewhere here. 1 second, please. Maybe it's somewhere else. Let me see if I can find it. Anthropic said that they would not agree because this technology was too dangerous. But now Anthropic has changed their mind and say that they will oblige the Pentagon to have this dangerous portion of AI that they don't even want to use themselves. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Because I definitely want this. Mm-hmm. Let me. I don't. I may not want it from ABC News. Here we go.
Reserved for foreign adversaries. Now, I'm told that all of this went down during a meeting at the Okay, so this is a big one. Sources tell us the Pentagon is giving one of the biggest artificial intelligence companies an ultimatum. Agree to how the U.S. military wants to use your tech or face serious consequences. A Pentagon official tells us that if Anthropic does not get on board, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will invoke the Defense Production Act. That's a Cold War era law that would force the company to prioritize the government's needs. They would even label the company a supply chain risk. That's a big deal. It's a designation usually reserved for foreign adversaries. Now, I'm told that all of this went down during a meeting at the Pentagon on Tuesday between Anthropic CEO and Secretary Hegseth. The tone was respectful, no shouting, but a very clear message was conveyed: comply or there will be penalties. Now, the company CEO in this meeting laid out what he sees as his red lines: a no AI making final targeting decisions in autonomous military operations, and no mass domestic surveillance. A Pentagon official says this dispute is not about those issues and insists it always follows the law, saying that operations cannot be led by, quote, exception.
But we know that the Pentagon does not always follow laws, such with the boat strike, such with this quote unquote war with Iran we're in now. This quote unquote war that has not been sanctioned by the proper channels, through the proper channels.
But if you just zoom out here, this is really about who sets the rules for AI in the military. Is it the companies building it, or is it the government that's using it? And the clock is ticking. Okay, so this is a big one. Sources tell us the
even though that was Anthropic hard line, they actually said, okay, Pentagon, we'll do what you ask us. Let me see. They actually have agreed. Let me see. Let me hold on. One second. Let me see if I can find where they agrees. I don't know where I read it. I read it somewhere. Maybe I heard it today, because I don't see where they agreed to it. Let's see why they said they couldn't agree to it. How about that?
Next, the U.S. Defense Secretary gave Anthropic an ultimatum this week: open its artificial intelligence technology for unrestricted military use by Friday or risk losing its government contract. Officials also warning that they could designate the firm as a supply chain risk or invoke a Cold War era law called the Defense Production Act. Well, for more, let's cross live now to France 24's Wassim Cornet, who's standing by for us in LA. Wassim, tell us first, what exactly is the Pentagon demanding here from Anthropic?
Yeah, the Pentagon is essentially requesting that Anthropic remove its restrictions from how its AI model, which is called Claude, can be used inside a new internal military internal network, either do that or face the consequences. The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, has given the company a Friday deadline tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If Anthropic doesn't agree, the Pentagon says it is ready to sever ties with the company to terminate its contract and even label it a potential supply chain risk, which would effectively put Anthropic on a government blacklist. Officials have also raised the possibility of invoking something called the Defense Production Act, which we'll get to in just a moment. Right now, Anthropic places limits on how its system, Claude, can be used. Those limits restrict things such as mass surveillance or autonomous weapons. It is the last major AI firm not to be fully plugged into this new Defense Department system. The CEO of the company, Dario Amodei, has publicly raised concerns about unchecked military use of AI. Now, the Pentagon, of course, has said it has no plans to break the law, but also that it will not allow a private company to set operational limits. Now, in the last few minutes, we've heard back from Anthropic. We were waiting to hear back from them following that new request by the Defense Department. They said that they cannot, in good conscience, accede to the Department of Defense's request. It explains that decision, saying that language received from the Department of Defense made no progress, that that in terms of the mass surveillance of Americans and the use of autonomous weapons, saying that the words, this new language issued by the Department of Defense, is surrounded by legalese, which would allow those safeguards to be disregarded.
And Wassim, as you say, the Defense Production Act has been mentioned as of retaliation. Just how significant would it be if the Pentagon actually were to use it?
Yeah, it would be a massive escalation. Let's talk a bit about what the Defense Production Act is. It dates back to the 1950s, to the Korean War, and it allows the federal government to direct private industry to prioritize national defense needs. It's been used in the past for things like COVID, medical supplies, energy shortages, but it's never been used to force a private company to alter safety rules of a product that it designed itself. Legal experts say that's the difference, and it could be a major issue if the Defense Department does decide to go down that route, that the government, it does allow it to change, that it can force a company to prioritize needs, but it cannot force a company to change AI rules or functions, and that would immediately be met likely with court challenges. And there's also tension within the Pentagon as to how to approach this, because as I did mention, the government is threatening Anthropic to cut ties with it and to put it on a supply chain risk list. But the officials privately within the Pentagon have also acknowledged that it is critical, the company Anthropic is critical to its military operations.
Wassim, thanks so much for joining us with that update and with that breaking news on that story. That's Wassim Cornet joining us live there from LA.
Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, who is someone who insists that his company's AI model cannot be used to conduct mass surveillance or to carry out violence, is now locked in a bit of a stalemate with the U.S. Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth. This is disastrous because Pete Hegseth is, for lack of a better word, not well. He's not someone that I trust to make sound decisions when it comes to war and peace. But nonetheless, he has given Anthropic an ultimatum. If Anthropic doesn't remove its AI safeguards, then the Pentagon can force them to do so. Okay. So Anthropic is considered the safest of the AI startups. Now, let me explain why it's considered that way. Although you should always be skeptical of any company that claims, no, we're the moral ones, right? in this case, it does seem like the CEO, Amadei, is concerned about how AI could be damaging to society and wants to do something about it. But everyone's got their price, right? But anyway, so their model, according to Amadei, who used to work over at OpenAI, ended up resigning from OpenAI specifically because he felt that the organization's development of AI was irresponsible. So, I mean, he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. He left OpenAI. He starts his own thing. So the CEO has consistently warned that AI technology could lead to an economic doomsday, and even worse than that. So Amadei said there could be a future with 5% to 10% GDP growth and 10% unemployment. Quote, I think this is probably a time to worry less about disincentivizing growth and worry more about making sure that everyone gets a part of that growth, which sounds lovely. We are not organized to force that to happen. And I really do mean force, because as much as a CEO of an AI company claims he would like to do that, you can't just leave it up to executives and CEOs. You need to have an organized population that is effective in applying pressure, so the fruits of that labor is shared and doesn't become a doomsday scenario. But I digress. More disturbingly, though, he has warned, there is a 10% to 25% chance that AI goes rogue and unleashes planetary chaos, which I am worried about, because there is a lot of talk about how AI can be used to engage in warfare autonomously, which why do we want that? Oh, using like drones pressing buttons remotely wasn't good enough for you? Now you want to take all of the human component out of it and have freaking robots fight war? Like, what are we talking about here? But anyway, as a result, he called for government regulations on AI technology and has pushed back pretty hard against the federal moratorium on AI-related regulations. But Anthropic's push for safety has put this startup at odds with the Trump administration and the Pentagon in particular. So Amadei is especially loathed by AI czar David Sachs, who has long pushed to keep Silicon Valley as unregulated as possible. Now, Sachs has even deployed a well-known loser tactic of calling anything he doesn't like woke. It's not 2024 anymore. We got to get past it. You got to find a new word. You can't just slap the woke label on everything you dislike. He accused Anthropic of being woke. Oh no, so woke. They don't want, autonomous, like robots killing people. They're so bad. David Sachs is insane. But anyway, Anthropic did manage to sign a $200 million contract with the Pentagon last year, despite its tensions with the Trump administration. For example, Anthropic's AI models, known as Claude, were used in the kidnapping of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, there really is no moral CEO, okay? Like, at the end of the day, you have a profit motive and money talks. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't want anyone to be fooled into thinking like, oh my God, Anthropic is so much better, we should trust them with our lives. But according to Anthropic's guidelines, Claude cannot be used for two things. Number one, mass surveillance of US citizens, good. And number two, military strikes in which AI makes targeting decisions without human guidance. Now, those are two areas where I would agree with Anthropic, and I hope that they hold true to those principles. But the Pentagon is not happy about it and has stated that Anthropic should not be allowed to set its own red lines. So the federal government, in this context, is willing to tell a corporation what they can and can't do. The Trump administration just lifted all regulations on a pesticide that has been incredibly damaging to human health. So, like, regulation is totally fine when it comes to a corporation that could potentially provide the Pentagon with something it wants. And in this case, they don't want a private company to do what they want. They want this private company to do what the government wants. Okay, interesting. So this is so crazy. The Pentagon has also stated that if Anthropic did keep these guidelines, right, these restrictions, it would not cross either of Anthropic's red lines, okay? So Anthropic has so far resisted the Pentagon's demands. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. So the Pentagon is now threatening to revoke Anthropic's contract. Like, where are the anti-regulation Republicans right now? Where are they? Why aren't they speaking out against this?
Okay, I cannot find where I'm going to check one more place. Anthropic to the best of my recollection, has gone back and agreed to give the Pentagon exactly what it wants. Now, I have one more link I want to share with you why you should be concerned about this. The autonomous AI and the ability for drones to strike using their own, based upon the information they collect only within the AI stratosphere with no human input at all. This is something that should be concerning to you. If it's not, it's not. It concerns me. So let me share this with you as well. These are the things that the Pentagon is vying for. Let me share AI and autonomous strikes. And it seems like Keckbreath has been denied the ability to do that. Hegseth blocked from using AI to power fully autonomous weapons.
We are watching the biggest buildup of U.S. military power in the Middle East since 2003. And it's being overseen by Pete Hegseth, the least qualified, most reckless Secretary of Defense I think we've ever had, certainly in my lifetime. And as he beats the Iran war drums, Hegseth is also attempting to coerce an AI developer into letting the Pentagon use their technology without any restrictions. That company's Anthropic, creator of the Claude AI chatbot. And Anthropic raised concerns after reports that Claude was used by the Pentagon to plan the kidnapping of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in January. Hegseth responded by demanding that Anthropic agree to give the DoD full access to Claude for whatever it wants, or else the DoD would force it to hand over that access and blacklist the company from current and future contracts. After a very tense meeting, Anthropic has refused. In a statement Thursday, the company said it cannot loosen its restrictions against Claude's use in two specific applications: fully autonomous weapons and mass domestic surveillance.
So this picture, this man wants automated killing machines. This man now, autonomous killing machines. Now, I thought I saw that they had agreed, but as the reporting as of Saturday, their deadline was yesterday at the end of business hours. I could have sworn I saw that they had changed their mind and had agreed, but I can only find reporting that Anthropic has denied the request to let the Pentagon do things that it is uncomfortable with, because they know the ramifications and the destruction that using AI autonomously would wreak on society. But here you have Keckbreath demanded it, or are they going to try to ruin the company if they don't give them that ability? And understand, they said that Anthropic only got a 200 million, not billion. They only got a $200 million contract with the Pentagon.
They said you can use our tech for anything but automated killing machines and spying on people, which, by the way, I think is probably too much anyway. But what did the Trump administration say today? Well, Hegseth called Anthropic a supply chain risk, declared anyone doing business with them would be cut off from working with the federal government at all. And then Trump announced on social media the federal government will phase out its use of Anthropic. Quote, the left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic have made a disastrous mistake trying to strong-arm the Department of War. We don't need it. We don't want it. We will not do business with them again. Adding, Anthropic better get their act together and be helpful during this phase-out period, or I will use the full power, capital F, capital P, of the presidency to make them comply with major civil and criminal consequences to follow. Ben Rhodes served as Deputy National Security Advisor of President Obama. He co-hosts Crooked Media's Pod Save the World, which you can start to watch here on this station when Crooked on MS Now premieres tomorrow. Ben Rhodes joins me now. Well, Ben, you worked on the National Security Agency, and one of the things about the U.S. security state that I think is easy to not appreciate when you're outside of it, but is so clear when you're anywhere inside of it, is how much interface there is between the Pentagon, the national security state, and private corporations. I mean, this is part of how American defense works. What do you make of what happened today?
Well, you're right. And that's evolving, Chris, because, when I was there, right, it was still that the major defense contractors were, Raytheon, Boeing, people that made tanks and planes. Increasingly, the technology companies are going to become the defense contractors of the future because AI is going to be integrated into many aspects of what the Pentagon does. And what we're seeing at the same time is this explosive and exponential growth in AI that is totally unregulated. There is no regulation from the United States government on the use of these technologies. I think, frankly, the United States government doesn't even know, as well as an Anthropic or an OpenAI, where these technologies are going. And so the only regulation is the terms of service that are written by the companies themselves. And in this case, you have basically a company saying, whoa, wait a second, we don't want our technology to be used for mass surveillance, or we want a human being to be in the chain of command if someone's going to be killed with an autonomous weapon. And you have the Pentagon saying, no, we get to decide how your technology is used, not you. And I think it's a seismic moment because it's getting at this question of, are we going to have completely unregulated AI with no guardrails used by our military and, by the way, potentially by other militaries around the world? So it's a very critical moment.
Well, so here's what's so interesting about that. I mean, first of all, we've had no regulation and now we have like the most heavy-handed, right? So Trump is saying like all the federal government has to cease using it. Pete Hegseth has declared it a supply chain risk, although they also are required to stay with deploying with the Pentagon for 6 months, which is a little like you're a supply chain risk that we have to use for 6 months. It's currently the position of the Trump administration that it is fine for NVIDIA to ship its best chips to China to deploy in the Chinese military, but you cannot use Claude and NVIDIA can't work with Claude. It's a ludicrously incoherent set of regulations.
Not just that, Chris. Let's not forget that a 49% stake was bought in World Liberty Financial, the Trump family crypto business, by the UAE. And then $2 billion was kicked in through the Trump family coin by the UAE. And then, lo and behold, shortly thereafter, Trump goes to the UAE and he lifts all restrictions on advanced chips and data centers and computing power flowing out to the UAE, which had been a security concern for the U.S. because the UAE, well, first of all, it's supporting, genocidal violence in Sudan, but also it can be a backdoor to China. So essentially, they are prioritizing the profits of these AI companies, particularly the ones that are friendly to Trump, like NVIDIA and several others. And then they're saying, we want to decide exclusively on our own how we in the Department of War, let's call it the Pentagon, are going to use these technologies. And so they're flooding the world with the technology. And trying to insist that as that is happening, there is no effort to put any guardrails around how it might be used. And we're at a tipping point where AI in the next 2 or 3 years, if not already, is going to reach levels of intelligence, that we don't understand, frankly. The only people that understand this are the people at Anthropic. And let me tell you something. The fact that the people at Anthropic are worried about this enough to want to put that in their terms of service tells you everything about the scenarios they're concerned about, which is that if you have mass surveillance of the U.S. population with AI, I mean, look, when this came up in the Obama administration, one of the things I would always say to people is, it's not like everybody can sift through all your emails. Well, AI can do that. Right. And so if you combine the collection capabilities of the U.S. government with the ability of an AI agent or capacity to sift through that, we're in a whole new world here that is kind of like what we've been warning about the Chinese Communist Party and their mass surveillance. That's all that Anthropic is saying that they don't want.
What's so crazy about this, though, to get back to the point that you just made where we started about, one of the things that's been crazy, particularly about the Trump administration's perspective, is there's zero regulation of the AI companies. And someone once compared it to me of like having a nuclear arms race, but with private companies, right? So at some level, I think, well, I want the government to regulate this. But now here I am and the government's regulating. I'm like, no, not like this, right? Now.
Don't forget that 4547 that said that there can be no regulation on AI by individual states. Excuse me. And as individual states try to regulate AI, they will get no federal funding for anything. From FEMA, they will get absolutely zero federal funding. So with that understood, this is in my description box. All of these things that I showed you are in my description box under AI must comply with KEG breath. I want to also let you know about this AI and this autonomous AI that is able to just hunt out and take the lives of people whenever it feels like doing so. What else? Let me share with you the newest spin that happened last week as Anthropic was getting their marching orders from a unqualified Department of Defense.
And for anyone that's using it, you can see the.
Hold on. Let's. Okay, let's go here first. Let's see who. Oh no, let's go here first. No, let's go here first.
Tech billionaire Elon Musk is reportedly in a secret race to develop AI-powered drone swarms that could transform the future of warfare. From Silicon Valley to the front lines, the age of autonomous warfare may be closer than we think. Here is a special report. Take a look.
They don't roar like jets. They don't march like soldiers. They rain fire from the skies. They buzz, calculate, coordinate, and strike. Drones are redefining warfare across the world. The blueprint is already visible in the war between Ukraine and Russia. Cheap drones have transformed combat. Surveillance drones spot enemy positions, they pinpoint the high-value targets, and then combat drones unleash their firepower. Tanks, trenches, bunkers, nothing is safe in today's battlefield. Drones have another big advantage. They are cheap. A missile would cost about $1 million, while a kamikaze drone comes at about $30,000 to $50,000. They are comparatively easy to manufacture and easy to replenish the stocks. That's the reason every military wants them. Now the world's most powerful military is creating a new kind of secretive drone unit. These drones would be operated by voice command. The Pentagon is already integrating artificial intelligence into its scheme of things. Now these new kind of drones would give another leverage to the American soldiers. Reports suggest that Elon Musk-owned SpaceX and xAI are bidding for a secretive contract as part of a classified push by the Pentagon. They aim to develop autonomous drone swarm technology capable of coordinating attacks and interpreting commands in real time. These AI-enabled systems could overwhelm defenses, reshape conflicts, and redefine deterrence in an increasingly volatile world. From Washington to Beijing to Moscow to New Delhi, nations are pouring billions into AI-driven weapon systems. It has unleashed a new tech-driven arms race. For the Pentagon, the fear is simple: fall behind and lose the next war before it even begins. The involvement of Musk's companies is striking. Musk had once warned about the dangers of autonomous weapons and even supported calls to restrict them. Now
in 2015, Musk was warning about having these autonomous weapons. Now, in this video, you see people working on something that looks like a game controller controlling the drones. No, these drones are autonomous. They speak amongst AI, and they determine how they're going to strike and whom they're going to strike based upon the data that they have about these strikes. So let's be real clear. Elon Musk is now in competition to have the Pentagon buy his autonomous drones.
Firms are at the center of efforts to build them. Whether they become the involvement of Musk's companies is striking. Musk had once warned about the dangers of autonomous weapons and even supported calls to restrict them. Now his firms are at the center of efforts to build them. Whether they become tools of deterrence or engines of destruction, one thing is clear: the battlefield of tomorrow is already being coded today. Autonomous weapons, AI warfare, and a new global arms race promises to reshape warfare for decades to come.
Okay, so where one company will not do it based on principles. Of course, Elon Musk will agree to do it. And let's see. We know Elon Musk is such a successful businessman. You know, Elon Musk, who said that he was going to have this roadster car that was going to be out in a couple of months, and
for anyone that's using it,
and even took down payments down on these said cars. What could actually go wrong? Here it is 3 or 4 years later. There is no such thing as a roadsters, and I'm not sure if he even refunded the down payments on this car that was supposed to go well over 100 miles an hour. Okay, so what could go wrong is the autonomous taxi, the total auto-driven car that Elon Musk was supposed to have on the road 5 or 6 years ago, that we're going to be all the taxi drivers and all of this. What happened to that? Has that materialized as of yet? They have the partial autonomous. What is it? They have the partial self-driving car, but have they fulfilled their lie about the full autonomous car? So fully automated car. Let's see who is going to be working with the Pentagon to create AI drones that will be able to follow you, track you down, and kill you. Let's see what confidence you have in the man who is in the running for this Pentagon contract, who have told you, warned you about this in 2015, but now he is willing to build it for the Pentagon. Let's see who is Elon Musk.
See the dramatic improvements for anyone that's using it. You can see the dramatic improvements in full self-driving, where it's getting to the point where interventions are extremely rare, and eventually they'll get to the point where there really is no need to intervene. Like the car is going to be better than human. In fact, maybe it's worth emphasizing that it's not that Tesla full self-driving will be equal to humans in safety. It will be ultimately 10 times safer than a human.
So Tesla's full test driving car is going to be 10 times safer than having a human driver. Capiche?
So that's what Elon Musk does. He goes on conferences like that. He goes on podcasts and he lies. He said, no, I'm not saying he says things that turn out not to be true. He says things that he knows are not true when he says them, because that gets people to invest in Tesla, and that makes him the richest person in the world. That is how he has made all of his money, is by overhyping things. And that is what he's done. And that is, you could have a problem with that economically, but some people have lost far more thanks to him overhyping things, especially like safety features. And so he's now being sued following a tragic event where a Tesla veered into a semi-truck, resulting in several deaths. This is Nathan Blaine, who accuses Tesla and Musk of having, quote, intentionally misrepresented the safety of their vehicles and the driver assistance features. Quote, based on representations the Blaines heard made by Musk and Tesla, they believed it was a safer driver than a human driver of conventional vehicles. And you see it in, like, again, the Tesla was not operating in full self-driving, but the Teslas are not capable of full self-driving. And by the way, there are responsible people at Tesla that have tried to push back on this branding, like the engineers who actually made it. Bear in mind, Elon Musk couldn't make literally any of this. But what he does do is make the work of their actual engineers and then say, well, how can I lie to people to make it seem more impressive than it is? And he does. He says it's full self-driving. He says some of the cars will be capable of it. That actually never will be. He gets people to put down massive deposits, knowing that those cars are never going to have these technological features. He's a massive liar. And to no one does he lie more than to the people who trust him the most. But that said, some people have lost far more than most. According to Nathan's complaint, his wife, Jennifer Blaine, was driving the car to pick up their daughters, Denali and Emily, along with Emily's husband, Zachary, just before 10 p.m., and their Model X suddenly swerved into the oncoming lane while driving through a gentle southward curve. The Tesla slammed into an oncoming semi-truck having a load weighing 90,000 pounds. The front end was crushed rearward, crushing all of the occupants. All 4 members, as well as their dog Peaches, died at the scene. And the suit targets Tesla's auto steer feature. That's a punched up version of cruise control that detects lane markings, road edges, and the presence of vehicles and objects to intelligently keep their vehicle in its driving lane. Though it's in beta, the feature is available to Tesla owners for free, unlike the automaker's more advanced autopilot and full self-driving modes. The suit also implicates Tesla's other safety systems, such as its lane departure warning and emergency lane departure avoidance systems, arguing they defectively failed. And again, this is all in an environment where people have been being told for years by Musk that these cars are autonomous or soon will be. And like, can you really think that they're being crazy to think that their car shouldn't suddenly veer into traffic when he keeps telling people, oh, someday we're going to flip a switch and your car is just going to go out there and be a taxi for people. You're not even going to have to pay attention to it. That's not true. It is just not true. And he has been lying to people. This suit, of course, is going to have to be individually adjudicated, Sharon. But I feel so bad for this family. What do you make of it?
They are victims of this guy and all of his lies. He should not be trusted by anyone. There should be no fans of Tesla as long as he's the face of the brand, because he's
Since we're at war, I just wanted to share that little tidbit of information with you. I really wanted to share that information with you. This is the person who has absolutely practiced on absolute self-serving who has a $1 trillion agreement with his own company to be the first trillionaire. And this is the level of liar and deceitfulness. And this is the person who your Pentagon is making agreements with to actually have unmanned autonomous drones in the United States following you and tracking American citizens. Do you think this is not for you? They're already doing that with Palantir. Do you think that they're not tracking you with all of this AI equipment? And now they're going to get someone who knows that this equipment could be dangerous, that they were speaking out on it, but now they are willing to supply your military with this dangerous stuff that they know is dangerous for contract, for welfare. This welfare queen, Elon Musk, who lives off of your tax dollar and and is a whole total fraud. And what is it going to cost him? It's not going to cost him anything, but you better worry about what it's going to cost you. So that's it. I didn't want to come live today. I really did not want to come live today, but there is no way that I can be on the path of doing news reporting and not say absolutely nothing about this bullshit unauthorized thing that 4547 is saying war. It is telling you that our military people are going to lose their lives, but he cannot. The only thing that he really cannot tell you is exactly why it is important for us to be making strikes on Iran. He hasn't found the words to tell you a reasonable reason why you should support this war. Let me hold on, but let me before I leave, let me show you one more thing about him saying, well, once we start this war, they're going to support it. Netanyahu, you strike first, and then they'll support the war once the U.S. military people start getting hurt. Let me share this with you. This is where I started, and this is will be where I'll end. I will end with where I started. Hold on one second. I think it is with is it with him? Hold on one second. I think it may be here.
So the other day, we talked about how Mike Huckabee did an interview with Tucker Carlson, and Tucker grilled him on a number of different questions. And there was one moment, which was probably the most telling moment, where Mike Huckabee says, effectively, Israel should be allowed to take virtually all of the Middle East. Tucker asked him a very direct and pointed question. Hey, in the Bible, Israel has more land. Here's how much land it has. Like, what are you saying? If we abide by the Bible, should they be able to take all of that land? And Huckabee basically goes, yeah, I think they should be able to take all of it. That led to a diplomatic crisis because you had all of these Middle Eastern countries release statements like, excuse you? Like, what are you talking about? And remember, all these people, they're pretty chicken shit, by the way, because they just watched Israel wipe Gaza off the map, and they didn't do Dickie McGee's acts about it, right? But now it's like the light bulb moment where they go, oh shit, that could easily be us. And now they're saying, you're next. Now they're saying, so is it official U.S. policy now? The U.S. ambassador to Israel is openly saying, Israel should steal the entire Middle East. Steal from like 6 different sovereign countries. Who gives a shit? Go ahead. And so they're going, wait a second, is this official U.S. foreign policy? We think you should apologize. This is insane. These are our countries. These are our borders. You have to respect our borders, respect our sovereignty. And it's like, do you see what happens when you let one thing slide? When you let Gaza slide and you let them do that genocide and that ethnic cleansing, and you let them destroy 90% of the buildings in Gaza, look at what happens. Look at what happens. Then there are no more rules for anybody. Sorry, international law is gone. There's no protections. It's might makes right. It's law of the jungle. And so now Huckabee's like, yeah, they should be able to take it all. Okay, ready? Now, you might look at that and say, okay, but Kyle, that's one extremist. And so he's not indicative of anything broader than that. Here's the problem. It's not true. Huckabee is a Christian Zionist, an evangelical, fundamentalist Christian Zionist. He is fervently pro-Israel for biblical reasons. He thinks Jesus is going to return to Israel when Israel takes all that land. He's going to come down on a winged horse. There's going to be the rapture, and he's going to get to go to heaven. Okay? That's what Huckabee actually believes. There are millions of Christian Zionists in this country who believe the same thing. Also, there are millions of, Israeli Zionists who believe they have a biblical right to virtually all of the Middle East. This is a toxic brew. This is a toxic mix. So, Netanyahu, we discussed in the past, not that long ago actually, that Netanyahu said, yeah, I believe in the Greater Israel Project. Of course I believe in the Greater Israel Project. So that's him admitting, yeah, I want to steal more territory from more places. Of course. That's him admitting that. Now you have the U.S. ambassador to Israel saying that. And you might say, okay, but Kyle, it's not like this is the default actual opinion of the people with all the power right now, right? Right? It absolutely is. So not only does Netanyahu believe this, and Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, not only do they all believe this, all the people with the actual power, not only is Trump going to defer to these people because the Israel lobby pays him a colossal amount of money, right? But also, here's the so-called opposition in Israel. Look at this. Following the comment by Mike Huckabee, opposition leader of the Zionist colony Yair Lapid also endorses the idea of a greater Israel, but within, quote, security considerations, confirming that the only thing preventing it from being achieved are the resistance groups fighting Israel. So as Emma Vigeland here says, Lapid is the centrist/liberal option to Netanyahu, which means he thinks gay Israelis can get married and that the Orthodox should fight in the IDF. Here he endorses Israel taking all of Palestine and invading multiple countries as soon as Huckabee gives him an opening. So the video's in Hebrew. He speaks in Hebrew, so I'm not going to play it for you. But the gist of what he says is like, am I in favor of a greater Israel? Yes, I am in favor of a greater Israel. But my approach to it is pragmatic. So I think we should take as much land as we can take within the restraints that are happening. So maybe we take a little bit now, maybe we take a little bit next year, maybe over the course of 20 years, we expand a little bit each year, and we try to get away with this in a way that, makes it so there's not as big of a backlash and as big of a countervailing force trying to stop us from doing it. So basically he was like, I'm in favor of the same policy. I just want to be more practical and pragmatic about it and just like take it slower as we do it. There's your so-called left wing in Israel. There's your opposition party in Israel. In some ways, it's actually worse, by the way, than like the Republicans and the Democrats. People often say, myself included, the Democrats are not a real opposition party against the Republicans. There's so much diet MAGA in the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party, compared to the Israeli left, looks like it actually is an opposition party. That's how much there is no pushback in Israel. I mean, we literally watched a genocide and an ethnic cleansing being live streamed in 4K. And there was like, what? A couple hundred or maybe a couple thousand protesters in Israel that actually gave a shit enough to say, you actually should stop this and not murder all these people. Here's your Israeli left right here. This guy saying, yeah, greater Israel, but let's just be more pragmatic and practical. Let's not go for it all like this year.
Okay. That was not what I wanted to show you, but it was worth me watching. This is what I wanted to, since we were talking about all of this obeying of Israel, I would be remiss if I
groups, and obviously you all too, are working to make the biggest
how the Democrats are complicit with this as well.
AIPAC and AI are both swamping House elections as we head into next week. Next Tuesday will be the first kind of primary of the 2026 season. To talk about that, we're going to be joined by two Davids, David Dayen and David Hogg. David Dayen is the executive editor of the American Prospect. David Hogg is the head of Leaders We Deserve, which is participating in a lot of these primaries around the country. Dayen, and let's put A2 up there, just to because David Dayen and I have been doing a bunch of reporting on the kind of secret AIPAC primary effort going on in Illinois, and we'll talk about that kind of on the back half of this program. We're also going to be joined by Nida Alam, who I interviewed. I pre-taped an interview yesterday with her, and we'll attach that to the end of this project. So I want to start with actually Nida, because it's an incredible case here. Let's start with you, David Hogg, because you guys have endorsed Nida Alam. So she ran in 2022 against Valerie Foushee. Do you say it Foushee or Fouché?
Foushee.
Yeah. Foushee, okay.
Yep.
So it's actually a little bit more progressive. And my understanding is that if that 2022 race were run in this new district, she actually wins. Mm-hmm. So and also Foushee has done very little fundraising. I was checking it last night. I think she raised less than $550,000 for this cycle, which is, for an incumbent, she was outraged, who just launched her race in December.
Yeah. I mean, Foushee is freaking out so much. I got a screenshotted text from Foushee to another member of Congress who's a friend of mine, where she's saying, this group Leaders We Deserve is coming after me. Please, help me out, send me money. And of course, that member wasn't going to, but that was literally less than a week ago that she is currently texting members of Congress freaking out. And I think it shows the weakness that some of these incumbents are in. When you're propped up by AIPAC, you don't actually have to be that strong of a campaigner to win a lot of the time, especially if it's a crowded primary and you don't need to win by that much. In this case, we're dealing with a different district that also has had some of the most Doge cuts of any congressional district in the country, with a much more significant...
This is Durham area,
it's the Raleigh-Durham-like area. And on top of that, the district, because of the redistricting, as you mentioned, is significantly more South Asian than it was previously as well. And we're dealing with an electorate that is incredibly fed up with the state of the party right now.
All right. That's interesting that she is going for members of Congress, because that's like low-hanging fruit.
Less than 2 weeks before her
election. 2 weeks,
Well, it wasn't just members, it was publicly. So, Foushee, like many candidates, particularly ones who are desirous of super PAC money, has a red box. Mm-hmm. And you know what a red box is. That's a section of their website where they
often
sort
with
of
a literal red box around it,
where they sort of soft coordinate with super PACs and say, here's what voters need to know in this district. And she changed the language on her red box right before all this money came in. And previously it just had sort of a generic message. And then you could almost see the 4-alarm fire in the red box. It was voters need to immediately hear that
stop waiting.
That Nida Alam is getting $1 million from dark money, and Valerie Foushee won't be bought. It
Hilarious.
it was
Comical.
like such an urgent message. And now what we've seen in the week since is that those super PACs have delivered.
Valerie Foushee won't be bought. Please dump millions of dollars into this
Please
campaign.
spend this money to tell people that I won't be bought.
So we can put up E1 here. This is a tweet from Dave Dayan. How badly she AI
see how
now
it works. Let's
has cut her
get to
back
Hakeem
in Gaza and says that she's
reject this money was a town hall in the district where she was actually as to where we are today.
Well, before we do the reveal of how the AIPAC money is getting into the district now, why did you guys get in? Like, what made you get into this particular race? Because as you're mapping out the limited resources that you have, you know, it's sizable, but it's not infinite. What made you pick this one? Because I've heard the argument from some people that, like, hey, Foushee, because she was able to be pressured at the grassroots level and she got better, like, we should reward that by reelecting her, and so that it tells other candidates, come our way, and we'll welcome you, rather than, you know what, we're going to take you out anyway.
Ultimately, Nida's going to be here for the long haul, a lot longer than Foushee. Nida also in this district, what we saw was that.
I think I'm paying you. I don't see what where he actually interviews Hakeem Jeffries. I actually wanted to get to that portion. Maybe they have deleted that out of this video since I've saved it, because he was actually asking. He was actually asking. Actually asking how much he had taken from AIPAC. Hakeem Jeffrey. It seems like they have gone through and edited this video for some reason. There was a sit down with Hakeem Jeffrey. He asked how much money had AIPAC given him, or he quoted an amount that AIPAC gave him. And Hakeem Jeffrey does the Hakeem Jeffrey thing. And he also talked about the ICE money that he got from ICE. Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffrey did the typical Hakeem Jeffrey move and say it didn't agree or disagree about getting AIPAC money. Didn't give a reason why he was getting AIPAC money. He said that, you know, I collect a lot of money when I'm out here campaigning, and you know the thing that I am most proud of is that the most contributions that I get from people is rounds out to $72, and that's a whole lot of small donations for people who know me and my campaign. Blah 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 blah. Totally ignore the fact that he gets AIPAC money, and he goes up and cheers with Chuck Schumer and Cory Booker, and they raising their hands in the air with their fingers intertwined, cheering, we stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. And Hakeem Jeffrey, Chuck Schumer, Cory Booker are absolutely feckless for the American constituents that they represent. I think that they have taken that out. That is the only reason I saved this. I was wondering why it was taking so long to get to Jeffries. It seems like that has been edited out. It was early on in the video. I apologize. Okay, let's move forward. I have one more thing I think I added that I wanted to show you, and that will be it for me. No, I think that's it. I think that's all I have. Let me double check and make sure. I think that's it. Yes, I think that's it. I appreciate you all being here. Understand that everything that I have saved for you guys. Oh, this is what I wanted to tell you. There is something else I wanted to show. There has been no authorization of the war, and it seems like Democrats and Republicans are revolting about what is going on in Iran.
We have a major news day beginning already because Republicans on Capitol Hill are upset following Hillary Clinton's deposition testimony. The tide is turning. Multiple Republican senators on Capitol Hill are now demanding that Pam Bondi and the Justice Department release all the Epstein files as they relate to President Donald Trump.
That's not the revolt I was looking for. Hold on. That is one revolt. That is a good revolt. Let me see about the revolt, about the strikes, and Democrats and Republicans actually. You don't. Actually, hold on. Shh, what are you doing? Actually wanting a vote on these strikes in Iran. I apologize. Let me see if it was here. It may be in a short. Hold on a second. Here it is.
From both parties are now demanding.
Okay, here we go.
Demanding an immediate vote to rein in the President of the United States' ability.
Okay, breaking news. Republican and Democrat lawmakers demand congressional action as Trump launches war. This is what I will end with that. This will be my last link. The link is going to be in your description box. If you're not familiar with Aaron Paranis, I suggest you familiarize yourself with him. He does great content. He's a actual attorney, and he has started to doing content. He's one of the fastest rising social media news content in the country. So I'll go over there, give him a click and a view, and subscribe to his page. And this is the last link in my description box. Let's go.
The United States of America is officially at war in the Middle East once again. In the past several hours, the United States and the Israelis launched comprehensive strikes across Iran, using the massive armada that the President of the United States built up over the past many weeks to strike military installations throughout Iran, nuclear sites, political sites, and, according to Iranian state media, even a children's school. The President of the United States made the announcement overnight while many Americans were asleep and made clear that these strikes would be the first, but not the last. In addition, the Iranian government has responded, targeting U.S. military interests in the region. And right now, there is a full-scale war in the Middle East. What's the goal? The goal is regime change. Donald Trump is urging the Iranian people to rise up and take over their government. In the United States Congress, approval for the strikes was not given, nor was it asked ahead of time. Multiple lawmakers from both parties are now demanding an immediate vote to rein in the President of the United States' ability to conduct further military action in Iran. There's been a lot of news in the past 5 hours. I've tracked it all for you. Let's go through it one by one. It's going to be a long day, a long week, a long weekend. Subscribe to my Substack, click the link below to support my work, and let's jump right into it. Overnight, the President of the United States announced the following military strikes in Iran. Take a listen to him making the announcement.
Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want.
Break the law.
So let's see how you respond.
No president
America
will
is backing you with
that.
overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
In his speech, as you heard right there, the president of the United States is actively urging the Iranian people to rise up and take over their government, to topple the Ayatollah Khamenei, and to provide regime change in Iran. Now, who would it take over? That's not fully clear. There are many factions within Iran. It would create a power vacuum in the Middle East. And if this sounds familiar, well, it's because something similar happened in the early 2000s when the United States first invaded Iraq. At the same time, the president would not rule out American casualties in this conflict.
To kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future. And it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran.
So that is the latest from the president. Now, meanwhile, lawmakers are reacting, saying that we need to rein in his power. This morning, Senator Tim Kaine demanded that the United States Senate immediately return to session to vote on his war powers resolution. This must formally decide on U.S. involvement in hostilities against Iran. Quote, the Senate should immediately return to session and vote on my war powers resolution to block the U.S. forces in hostility against Iran. Every single senator needs to go on record about this dangerous, unnecessary, and idiotic action. Senator Andy Kim writes, we should have Congress immediately go back into session for the war powers vote to reassert the American people's will, which, again, they don't want to be at war. So I'm ready to go back to the Senate today. Mark Warner writes, the American people have seen this playbook before. Claims of urgency, misrepresented intelligence, and military action that pulls the United States into regime change prolongs costly nation building. It does not appear that Donald Trump has learned the lessons of history. Military action in this region almost never ends well for the United States, and conflict with Iran can easily spiral and escalate in ways we cannot anticipate. You also have Republicans reacting, saying, from Lindsey Graham, saying the operation was well planned, calling it violent, extensive, and at the end of the day, successful. He says the demise of the Ayatollah's regime with American blood on its hands is necessary and more than justified. He described it as pivotal and necessary operation to protect American interests and Americans. That's from Senator Roger Wicker. Congressman Thomas Massie, meanwhile, called the strikes acts of war unauthorized by Congress. And Congressman Ro Khanna says that Congress must reconvene on Monday to vote on my and Thomas Massie's war powers resolution to stop this war. We're getting some images from the AFP, the Associated Foreign Press, from inside Iran. Right now, the nation is at a near total blackout. Only about 4% of the country has Wi-Fi. This is some images coming from within Iran that looks to be some type of building that was struck. This is a satellite image obtained by the New York Times, the first publicly released satellite image of the compound where the Ayatollah, the leader of Iran, lives. Now, on NBC News this morning, right before I hopped on, Iran's foreign minister says that he believes that the Ayatollah has survived the strikes, although NBC has not independently verified the strikes, or whether or not he's alive. In addition, Iranian state media is reporting that an Israeli strike hit a girls' primary school in the southern county of Manab. Iranian officials claim dozens of children were killed and many more injured, though those casualty figures have not yet been independently verified, although strikes in the region have been verified. And if true, would be a horrific, tantamount to a war crime targeting young children at a primary school. In addition, Oman's foreign minister told NBC News that he was dismayed that the active U.S.-Iran negotiations brokered by Oman had been undermined by the strikes, warning that further escalation would not serve U.S. interests or global